So I just wrapped up my first video series of the year and the results surprised me. So I wanted to share my exact numbers behind this series, a look inside my entire process for creating it, and an honest breakdown of what worked and what didn't work so you can use it in your next video series. We're gonna be talking about the Simple Video System series. And it is exactly as it sounds. There were 4 parts, 4 episodes, where in each episode I was sharing one very simple system that can help people with their video content. And this series was done on my YouTube channel in video episodes for my podcast. So it was also posted audio only on the Shine Online podcast. So I have all the numbers pulled up, and even as of this video going live, when I'm recording this, this is 6 weeks after the first episode aired. And these are the current results as of recording this, but I already know these numbers are going to continue to grow. So we had 41,000 views for the series, and that includes all 4 episodes, and over 3,000 watch time hours, which for my channel are really awesome numbers. And from those 4 videos, I've gotten over 1,000 new subscribers. So that's a really great signal to me that not only is my current audience loving it, but people that were totally new to me also loved it enough to want to stick around and actually subscribe. And that's actually one of the benefits of doing a series, is that it's great for nurturing, but it's also great for reaching new people, especially because someone could stumble upon just one episode of a series and literally want to subscribe just so they know when the next episode drops, or when all the episodes are live, they're like doing the full binge and basically become obsessed with your content and then choose to subscribe. And now that my channel is monetized, I've made over $400 from AdSense. And as someone who is newly monetized, I don't know what is good and what is bad, but 400 buckaroos, I'm happy with that. And the number I was personally most excited for is I tested out a new strategy that I'm gonna be talking about later on in this video. And we got almost 1,000 new subscribers to my email list. Okay, we gotta get into it. For all 4 episodes, the top episode was the first one that I posted, part 1, all about video mood boards. And we definitely anticipated that to be the case, because not only was it preceding the first video I posted of the year, which went viral for my channel size, but in that viral video, I mentioned video mood boards, and it was one of the things that I mentioned that people gobbled up and were like, we need to know more about this. And so we actually ended up changing the order of the series. I planned this series in like December, November last year, and I had the order a little bit differently, but because we knew it was going right after that viral video, we were actually like, we want to make sure we're posting essentially the episode that we know people were going to be most excited for if they were new to my channel. And the lowest video of the series, which actually surprised me, was the one all about tools. And tools in my niche and industry is always a hot topic, whether it's on Reels, whether I'm sharing it on my stories, whether it's other people in my industry doing YouTube content about tools. It is just a really popular topic. So I was kind of surprised it was the lowest out of all the episodes, but I definitely anticipate that that video is going to actually do better long term. So I anticipate it continuing to do well throughout the entire year, not necessarily in the immediate right after being posted. So I'm not mad. So it's safe to say these were really great results for a 4-part series. And so I want to bring you in my exact process for how this series came to be. And I'll share some of the things that I think worked really well that led to these results. The first thing is the series topics and episodes. First of all, I specifically did this series in Q1 because I knew a lot of people are wanting to get organized, they're wanting to get consistent, they're wanting to do video. So I knew this was a great way to share that angle without being like, how to create your 2025 video strategy, which isn't a bad video topic, but I also wanted this series to be really relevant to a core topic that I talk about across my entire brand and content ecosystem. This is something that I do with my clients. This is something that I teach inside my program. programs. I have always been a systems nerd, so I really wanted to lean into a topic that I feel like is a differentiator for me within my niche, especially on YouTube. And also when it came to the concept of simple video systems, I also made sure every single episode that I chose for the 4 parts could kind of stand on their own. So whether you wanted to learn about my content day batching process, or you wanted to learn about organizing content or editing content or the tools you need to create your content, all of those topics essentially could stand alone outside of a series, but I think that's what makes a great series, right? Is people can come halfway, at the end, at the beginning, and not just love that episode, but want all of the episodes. I want to invite you to join me for the DIY Your Signature Video Series workshop, where you will actually create your own signature series. In this workshop, I talk about not only how to decide what your series should be about, how to structure it, what formats it should be, and more case study examples just like this across a lot of different niches, so you can leave inspired and ready to create your series. I've left the link in the description, which will actually get you $10 off your ticket. So the next thing that I did, which was totally new to me, was create an email opt-in specific to your series. And I think this strategy isn't exclusive to a series. You could definitely do this with any content you're creating, but instead of just sharing any free or paid resources that I already have existing and maybe creating content around that, which I've definitely done, can be effective, definitely will do. Instead, I was like, can I treat this almost like its own email growth campaign to see if, can I make something so irresistible, so relevant, so specific to the people that are watching this series, so it is a total no-brainer to not only get this resource that's like nurturing them and helping them like get results from your free content, which is the best way to build trust, but it's also making it so easy and such a no-brainer to join my email list, which I feel like if you are not thinking about your video content in this way, you absolutely need to be doing this. Views, engagement, growth, subscribers, AdSense, all the metrics I talked about in this case study are great, but you really need to be thinking about the metrics that are actually going to be moving the needle for your business. So for me, I know I am going to be promoting my workshop, my series workshop. And so what better way to ramp up to that promotion than to get email list growth of people that I know are going to be interested in it? You need to stop creating content just because you think you're supposed to be creating videos. You need to have a strategy and make sure that you're getting results for your actual business. And yes, this applies to creators too. I think about all the creators when the TikTok ban was happening and they're like, I literally don't know how I'm gonna access these people. Let me go create another social media account. Like, no, sis, you needed to create an email list. I have a whole playlist on that if you want that tangent. So let's break it down. Essentially, I took my outlines and the content that I knew I was going to be filming for each episode, and I turned that into the Notion template. So the action steps, the tips, I essentially turned that into pages of an interactive workbook, and I just used Notion to create it. A lot of these topics I also have like deeper dive resources on, and so I essentially pulled from some of those, so it really didn't take a lot of time for me to pull this workbook together. Then I set everything up in Flowdesk, which is my email marketing platform of choice. So I created a very simple form for actually people opting in for the series workbook. Then I set up a segment, so all the people that opted in for that went directly to a specific segment. And then I also went in and essentially created a very simple workflow. So essentially whenever people used that form, joined a segment, they automatically got an email delivered right away that essentially delivered that workbook for them to access and to download. And that was it. And yes, of course, the goal of this was to get email subscribers, but people really loved this workbook and found that it really helped them implementing what they learned in the series. So I thought it was such a win and can't wait to continue to play around with this strategy. In the DIY Your Signature Video Series workshop, I actually share Flowdesk templates for all of the things that I just mentioned. So you can essentially just plug and play this and add in your own information, your own branding, your own copy, and bam, you are essentially ready to have an opt-in specific to your series. So I feel like this is worth joining the workshop for alone. Okay, so the next thing that I did was actually how I structured each episode, and this is essentially the flow that each episode followed. First, I started with a very concise hook. I got right into what the topic is, what the problem it was solving, why people would care about the content I was creating. Then I gave a preview of what I was going to be covering in that episode, and also mentioned it was a part of the series, and gave an overview of what the series was, who it was for, what the content was about, and what episodes have already happened or were going to happen. And then I quickly plugged the workbook right at the beginning of the video. Then I got into the main content, the main points, and whenever it seemed really natural to mention the workbook, maybe I was encouraging them to take action or apply it for their own content, then I would mention the workbook throughout the video. And then I would wrap things up with an outro where I also would not only mention the workbook, but mention a previous or future episode that was related to the series for them to watch next. I've done a few different series on my YouTube channel, and all of them have done well, but I definitely think that the structure, the edits, the intention that I put into the content really made a big difference into how it performed. On top of that, we also tested new thumbnail designs. And if you don't already know, you can A/B test thumbnails. So often we were actually testing different thumbnails for different size text, different visuals. I personally love collage style thumbnails, like from creators that I follow. So I thought that would be fun to test for some of the videos, and spoiler, those did really well when the A/B testing. So it's something that was really small, but I definitely think it made this series feel extra elevated compared to other series that I've done in the past. And in my previous video where I talk about my 2025 YouTube strategy, this is something that I'm not just doing for my series, but literally for all the YouTube content I'm creating. And the final thing I did was very simple promo. While you can rely on the platform you're creating to share your content, which definitely was a part of the metrics that we saw, I also really put a lot of intention into always sharing something like a series, or really any content I create on my YouTube channel, across my other channels. So I always like to send an email on the day a new episode drops, sharing a little bit more about it, linking to it. I also love to share stories, and I found my stories that I did for this specific series promotion did really, really well and got a lot of views, a lot of link clicks. I did some teasers. So when I was leading up to the series, I teased that it was happening. In between episodes, I teased what the next episode was about. Maybe the day before an episode, I posted a little teaser. So I definitely kept it really relevant, so it was top of mind for people. I also, of course, posted it the day it actually dropped, and maybe even a few days after the new part of the series dropped. And this would be a great place for me to put like extra social proof or share what people were loving about the series so far. And for the design of the series, what I found has really worked for me and my story strategy, which I am definitely doing a video on super soon, is more static story slides. So for the most part, I was using photos, like my stock photos, my Shine stock photos, and then I was adding text right on top of it. I also was sharing a smart link instead of the direct link. So when people were on mobile, it would literally open it inside the YouTube app and not the browser, and make it a lot easier for them to subscribe or to engage and comment. And I typically kept these between 1 to 3 slides on my stories. I found that to be a sweet spot, especially when I have a call to action and I'm sharing link stickers. And if I can, I like to add the link sticker multiple times if I'm doing those multiple slides. And then when it came to the reels, yes, I was pulling from the actual video episodes and doing like promotional content from that. And the key there is when I am scripting my videos, or actually when I'm recording the videos and it's top of mind, I like to think of those moments that can stand alone and be super juicy, super valuable, a specific tip, a specific like hot take that does well on its own, and not just a great moment. Because short form videos are just like long form videos. You need to have a strong hook. It needs to have a good flow. And so sometimes you're pulling a good clip, but it's not a great clip for social. You know what I mean? So one of the clips we pulled was one where I literally was sharing a specific tip on creating folders in your camera roll. I just knew that would do really well. And even when I did the caption and the keyword DM automation, I literally made it specific to that video of like comment folders, which was literally what I had been talking about in that video. I also did a green screen style video, which is something that's worked well in the past, where essentially I took like the main points from my outline, the main points of that video, and I summarized it into a green screen screen with different slides and different visuals. And then I had the call to action at the end to watch the entire video deep dive on video mood boards to create your own. And that was also the keyword for that one. And the last one, which was actually for my episode all about content days, I thought it would be the strongest to literally just show the behind the scenes B-roll I captured for that video from my content day for the reel. So essentially it was just B-roll, and I added some text that I thought was really strong. We love a POV text overlay, and that one also did really well because it kind of looked and felt like a reel. So I feel like the takeaway from the reels that did well is like, don't be afraid to play around with variety and really focus in on those standalone moments that are going to perform really well on social. So we have to end things off on essentially what I felt like didn't work really well and what I would do differently next time. And really the biggest thing is I wish I would have given myself more time to not only batch the series, but to batch all of the promotional content that went along with it. In series I've done in the past, I've done a lot more content than what I did this round, especially when it came to reels and carousels on my actual feed. And so while I think for this series, it wasn't necessarily really necessary because I had so much new audience growth, and that also propelled it to continue to get in front of new people. My main goal wasn't necessarily getting my current audience to watch it. Like that was a part of it, but it wasn't like the main thing, which my past series, that's been like the main people have been watching it are people from my existing audience. So it didn't actually hurt the results, but I think the results would have been even bigger if I would have had more hype around it. I love series because they can help you be consistent, which it definitely helped me like hit that weekly cadence in a time where my channel and my niche does really well on the platform. But it also meant there was just like a lot of content going out back to back. The next thing I would like to try is I feel like a free opt-in worked really well for this series, but I would be so curious to try this with a lower ticket paid offer, or to even have a freebie, but it actually lead to a funnel that upsells into a paid offer. I just think it would be really interesting to see how those numbers fluctuate. I mean, if you could get 900 sales from a video, we would love that. So I think it would be really interesting to test in the future. So, you know, we'll see. And then the last idea that I would definitely love to test in the future is actually having a brand sponsor the series. I've done enough series on my channel at this point where I feel like I have some good metrics, some good insights of where integrations or fully dedicated series could be a really awesome package or a little bundle dealio for a brand, especially since it also goes to my podcast and of course it goes to all the places. So if you're a creator, definitely could be something worth thinking about. This could be a really creative way to work with brands. So I hope you found this in-depth breakdown of my recent series helpful, interesting, insightful, maybe some things you'd like to apply to your own series. And if this has inspired you to create your own signature video series, which I highly recommend, you should grab a seat for my workshop where I literally teach you my binge-worthy series framework. I will take you step by step on exactly how to create an engaging series just like this one that we broke down so you can see amazing results from your video content. So if you've wondered how to make sure it's strategic, engaging, to structure it, to name it, the topics, all those things we cover in the workshop, so I hope I'll see you there. And you can get $10 off through the link in the description. So now that you've seen the strategy and the results behind the Simple Video System series, make sure you go and watch part 1.